When we talk about ancient history, we often think of pyramids, emperors, and battles. But long before many famous empires rose and fell, there was a region where something quietly revolutionary happened. People built the first true cities. This region was called Mesopotamia, the land between the rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, in what is today Iraq and parts of Syria, Turkey, and Iran. Here, more than 5,000 years ago, humanity began a long experiment. How to live together in organized communities with rules, writing, temples, and trade. In this video, we'll take a calm journey through that world. We'll explore where Mesopotamia was, why it mattered, how people lived day to day, and how their ideas still echo in our modern lives. 1. The land between two rivers. Imagine standing on a wide, open plain. To your left, a river flows slowly through the land. To your right, another river does the same. Between them, the soil is rich, dark, and promising. This is the heart of ancient Mesopotamia. The Tigris and Euphrates rivers began far to the north in the highlands and carried water and silt down into the plains. Every year, seasonal floods brought new layers of fertile earth, perfect for growing crops. But this fertility came with challenges.
Floods could be unpredictable and destructive. In dry seasons, fields could crack and thirst for water. To survive, people had to learn how to control and cooperate with the rivers. Over generations, small farming villages learned to dig canals and build irrigation systems. They directed water to their fields, stored it, and shared it. These systems required planning, agreements, and shared labor. When a society learns to organize water, it is also learning to organize people. That organization was one of the first steps towards civilization in Mesopotamia. 2. From villages to cities. For thousands of years, people in Mesopotamia lived mostly in small communities. They grew grain, raised animals, and traded locally. But around 4000 BCE and onward, something began to change. Villages expanded. Trade networks grew longer. Temples became larger and more important. In places like Uruk, one of the earliest known major cities, population increased, buildings spread, and life became more complex. Uruk may have had tens of thousands of inhabitants at its peak, a huge number for that time. What made a city different from a village? One answer is specialization. In a city like Uruk, not everyone was a farmer.
There were potters making jars and bowls, metalworkers shaping tools, scribes recording information, priests performing rituals, and traders moving goods in and out of the city. This specialization meant people depended on each other in new ways. In these early cities, public buildings began to dominate the skyline. Large temples, known as ziggurats, rose above the houses. These stepped structures connected the world of humans with the world of the gods, at least in the minds of the people. From the ground level, the city would have been a busy, layered place. Narrow lanes between mud brick houses, courtyards, workshops, market areas, and towering temple complexes watching over everything. 3. The invention of writing. As cities grew, another quiet revolution took place in Mesopotamia, the invention of writing. Around 3200 BCE, people in southern Mesopotamia developed a system of marks made on clay tablets with a reed stylus. This script is known as cuneiform, from a word meaning wedge-shaped. At first, writing was mostly practical. It was used to record deliveries of grain, numbers of animals, temple offerings, and trade agreements. A farmer might bring barley to a storehouse, and a scribe would press symbols into a wet clay tablet to record the amount. The tablet would then be dried, becoming a permanent record. Over time, writing expanded far beyond accounting.
It was used to record laws, royal inscriptions, myths, hymns, and letters. Some of the earliest known literature in human history, such as the Epic of Gilgamesh, comes from Mesopotamian cuneiform tablets. Writing changed how memory worked in society. Instead of relying only on spoken stories and personal recollection, important information could be stored outside the human mind, in durable clay. This meant that complex administration, long-distance trade, and stable legal systems became easier to manage. It also meant that ideas could travel across generations in more precise ways. 4. Daily life in an ancient city. So, what was it like to live in an ancient Mesopotamian city as an ordinary person? Let's imagine a typical day. You wake up in a small mud brick house. The walls are thick to keep out heat during the day and retain warmth at night. Your home may have an open courtyard where light enters and meals are cooked. If you are a farmer, you leave early to work in fields outside the city walls. If you are a craftsperson, you might go to your workshop, shaping clay into pots, weaving cloth, or carving stone. Children help with simple tasks, learn from their parents, and occasionally visit the temple with offerings.
Only a small number of children, often from wealthier families, would learn to become scribes, spending long hours copying signs onto clay. The city streets are busy, but not rushed. Animals move through them: goats, sheep, donkeys carrying goods. Vendors call out to passers-by, offering bread, beer, dates, and other foods. Food in Mesopotamia was based heavily on grains like barley, along with vegetables, fruits, and sometimes meat and fish. Beer was a common drink, often safer than water, and an everyday part of life for many. Religion was woven into daily routines. People believed that gods watched over the city, the fields, the rivers, and their homes. Small clay figurines or carved seals might be used as protective symbols. From time to time, festivals brought people together in large gatherings, with music, offerings, and processions. These events strengthened the community and reminded everyone of their shared beliefs and stories. 5. Kings, laws, and order. As cities became more complex, leadership also changed. In many Mesopotamian city-states, power was held by kings who claimed authority from the gods. These rulers built temples and palaces, organized armies, and oversaw large construction projects such as canals and walls. They also played a central role in maintaining social order.
One famous example from Mesopotamia is the Code of Hammurabi from the city of Babylon, dating to around 1750 BCE. Inscribed on a tall stone stele, this collection of laws covered many aspects of life: trade, property, marriage, injury, and more. The laws were written in cuneiform and displayed publicly. While they may not have guaranteed fairness as we understand it today, they showed a clear effort to define rules and consequences. Punishments were often harsh, and different social classes were treated differently. But the very idea of having written laws that applied to many people was significant. It reflected a society that valued order, predictability, and the ability to settle disputes with reference to a shared code. Kings were not only political leaders, they were also symbolic figures.
They appeared in inscriptions and art as protectors of the city, chosen by the gods, feeding temples and defending their people from enemies. Their success or failure was often explained through the favour or anger of the divine. 6. Trade and connections. Mesopotamian cities did not exist alone. They were part of a network of trade routes that stretched across the ancient world. From the north came timber and stone. From the east, metals like copper and tin.
From distant regions, rare materials like lapis lazuli, a deep blue stone used in jewellery and decoration. In return, Mesopotamia exported textiles, crafted goods, and sometimes agricultural products. Trade was carried out by merchants who travelled long distances by land and river. This movement of goods also carried ideas. Art styles, religious concepts, and technological knowledge spread along with physical objects. The image of a Mesopotamian cylinder seal, for example, might be found far from the rivers where it was carved, leaving its distinctive rolled impression on clay elsewhere. In this way, Mesopotamia was not isolated. It was an active participant in a wider ancient world. 7. Challenges and change. No civilization remains unchanged forever. Mesopotamia faced many challenges over the centuries. The environment was both a gift and a risk. Droughts could reduce crops, while floods could destroy them. Salts could build up in the soil as water evaporated, reducing its fertility over time. Conflicts between city-states were common. Armies fought for control of land, trade routes, and political power. Walls were built, alliances formed, and empires rose and fell. Large powers like the Akkadian Empire, the Assyrians, and later the Babylonians shaped Mesopotamia's history, each leaving their own mark. Yet beneath these changes, many everyday patterns of life continued.
People farming, trading, worshipping, raising families, and living in cities that depended on the rivers. Over long periods, some cities declined, while others grew. Political centres shifted, but the memory of earlier times survived in texts, traditions, and ruins. 8. What remains today? Today, the physical remains of ancient Mesopotamia include ruined city walls, temple platforms, broken statues, and countless clay tablets covered in cuneiform signs. Archaeologists have spent more than a century excavating sites like Uruk, Nineveh, and Babylon. Each discovery, a tablet, a seal, a pot, a brick, adds a small piece to our picture of that distant world. It is not always easy work. Time, weather, and human activity have damaged many sites. Modern conflicts have also affected preservation in the region, but the knowledge we have is still remarkable. From simple impressed symbols on clay to complex stories and royal decrees, Mesopotamian writing tells us who these people were, what they valued, and how they understood their place in the world. 9. Why Mesopotamia still matters. You might ask, why does an ancient civilization, long gone, still matters to us today? One answer lies in the foundations it laid. Mesopotamia helped develop cities and urban life, complex administration and written records, early legal codes and ideas of justice, monumental architecture and organized religion, long-distance trade networks and shared cultural patterns. Many of these elements are present, in different forms, in our own societies. When we look at a modern city, with its streets, offices, markets and institutions, we are seeing the distant descendants of experiments that began thousands of years ago along the Tigris and Euphrates. When we write on paper or type on a keyboard, we are continuing a tradition that started with marks on clay. When we discuss laws, contracts, and rights, we are part of a long conversation about how people should live together, a conversation that includes the voices of ancient scribes and kings. Mesopotamia does not offer us simple answers. Its world was complex, sometimes beautiful, sometimes harsh. But by studying it, we can better understand how human societies grow, organize themselves, and face challenges. 10. A quiet reflection. As we end this calm journey through ancient Mesopotamia, imagine again that land between the rivers. A sunrise over fields watered by canals, smoke rising gently from city houses, the distant shape of a ziggurat against the sky. In a small room, a scribe presses signs into wet clay, recording grain deliveries for the temple. Outside, a child watches goats move through a narrow street. Nearby, a merchant loads goods onto a boat, preparing to travel downstream.
None of these people know that, thousands of years later, others will still speak their language, study their tablets, and walk among the ruins of their cities. Yet their lives, their choices, and their inventions have quietly reached us. The story of Mesopotamia is not only about kings and empires, it is also about ordinary people learning how to live together, how to share water and space, how to remember, and how to build. As you move through your own modern world, with its screens, roads, and networks, you carry, in a small way, the legacy of those first cities. The land between the rivers may be far away in space and time, but its echoes are close, woven into the structures and stories of the world you live in today.